people from all across the world. My name is Kiko. You may know me as Kiko Reads Fanfiction, and today I am bringing part 2 of Chapter 1 of Leave Your Mark. And yeah, I will be reading the rest of Chapter 1, so I hope we enjoy it, the other half of it. Yeah, like I said, I hope we enjoy it, and I don't have much to say in this intro. Besides, let's get into it. Some time passes, and unlike what the doctor promised, you have yet to find a loving home. It turns out that adoption is a rather tricky process, and it takes a while just to find suitable parental candidates. You appreciate that there is a lot of planning and contemplation that goes into this, because children shouldn't just be handed off without a second thought. They need to be diligently cared for, looked after, and appreciated. You realize just how true this line of reasoning holds when you are finally introduced to your forever family, as the doctor puts it. You're going to love them, he grins. They're so excited to have you. For a moment, you wonder if he means that, or if he's the one who's excited to finally get rid of you and free up a bed for another soon-to-be baby. There isn't really any way to know for sure, and if your infant body allowed for it, you would probably shrug as a show of your indifference. Anyways, you finally have a new home now, and you suppose that it has to count for something. It doesn't take long for you wish you were back in the hospital. She keeps crying, the mother whines, almost as if she's the child, not you. Well, no shit, the father cuts back impatiently. It's because you're always forgetting to feed her on time. You told me you were ready for this. You told me you wanted a kid, so it's too late to start pulling these stunts. I'm just so tired, I really don't know if I can do this. Fucking hell, what does a baby have to do around here to get a goddamn bottle of milk? They aren't good parents. That much is abundantly clear. You wish they would have sorted out these matters ahead of time, but some people find out the hard way that they just aren't ready to take care of a child. Nonetheless, they make an effort to improve. They try to rise to the occasion and shoulder this huge responsibility they've decided to take on. During the time you spend living under their roof, you come face to face with the dizzying realization. It happens so fast that at first you swear you're just imagining things. Your adoptive mother is vacuuming around the house when suddenly a stray object falls under the couch. She lets out her usual trademark sigh, then adjusts her stance as if she's about to crouch down and retrieve it. As it turns out, she doesn't need to crouch, because her arm extends as if it's elastic, and she picks up the object with ease. The pacifier in your mouth instantly falls out. What the fuck? You wonder if your tiny baby eyes are deceiving you, or if this is some sort of side effect from being reincarnated. How else would you explain what you've just seen? It's freaking absurd. People's arms don't just do that. Since you're incapable of communicating normally, you just cry. Your adoptive mother seems to become increasingly irritable whenever you cry for long periods of time, but there's not much you can do to help it, especially when you're so confused. Hush now, Iguayan, she demands, and to your honor, stretches her arm out again so that she can reach over to you and place the pacifier back in your mouth. Then she carries on with her vacuuming, as if nothing ever happened. To no one's surprise, you keep crying, and it continues this way until you overhear a conversation between the two of them during dinner. She hates it whenever I use my quirk, your mother scowls. I feel like she's judging me every single time. Is it possible for babies to be so judgy? Hold up. What the hell did she just say? You must be imagining it. Your father sighs. Both of them sure like to sigh a lot. You hate to admit it, but they don't seem particularly happy with their lives. She's just a baby. She doesn't even know what's going on around her, let alone how quirks work. They keep on using that word, and your chest feels tight when you remember exactly where you've heard it before. But that can't be. My Hero Academia is a fictional world. Superheroes, quirks, none of that is real. Yet here you are, living and breathing, proof that all of this is actually happening to you. Even so, it's just too far-fetched. You can't possibly have been reborn into a world that doesn't really exist. No matter how much manga and anime you've consumed, it still doesn't make the situation any more plausible. You need evidence, real, concrete evidence. Until then, you refuse to draw any conclusions. A week later, you catch your parents watching an interview of All Might on TV. Well, shit. Shortly after your second birthday, your parents put you up for adoption again. You wonder if something must be wrong with you because no one seems to want to have you as their kid. It's getting a bit hard not to take it personally. The worst part of it is that they didn't even bother to put you up for adoption somewhere nice. You're convinced that they chose the shittiest orphanage that ever existed, just as one last middle finger for all the stress and trouble you've caused them. You are 2 years old now. You are most certainly living in the world of My Hero Academia, and you're an orphan. Admittedly, it's a lot to handle. Even so, you manage. For obvious reasons, you're a lot smarter than you look. Your body limits a lot of what you can do, so you choose to keep your brain engaged mostly by reading books and solving puzzles. That girl's always going through those books, one of the caregiver mumbles to her colleague. Do you think she really understands what's going on? No way. The other wave's off. She must just like looking at the pictures. But that book doesn't have any pictures. She's 2 years old. Of course she can't read. Nothing that complicated, at least. Don't be silly. They eventually shrug and decide that they must be overthinking things, and you carry on reading your book. Yes, actually reading it. It's another normal, mundane day until suddenly everything changes. We have someone new staying with us starting from today, the head caregiver proudly announced. He gestures behind him, where a boy is standing with his arms wrapped around his body. He is consciously keeping a good distance between him and the other kids, as well as the caregiver, and you swear you spot a grimace on his lip. For some reason, he looks really familiar. Go on, the caregiver encourages. Introduce yourself to the others. You hear him mutter something under his breath, although you don't quite catch it, and then he sighs before briefly glancing your way. Chisaki Kai, he says, and in that moment your heart stops. But stay away from me, he adds, grimacing yet again. I don't like it when people get too close. Chisaki Kai, you know this kid. Well, he's only a kid now, but you're abundantly aware of what he'll become and the horrible things he'll go on to do. At this point, you can't keep making up excuses anymore. You're living in the world of My Hero Academia, and it's as simple as that. Chisaki walks away before the caregiver can say anything else. He sits down in the corner of the room, all by himself, keeping his gold eyes narrow so that nobody thinks of getting too close to him. He's several years older than you, so that puts him at about maybe 8 or 9. The details don't really matter, though. What matters is that for the first time, you've met a character that plays a hand in how the story will unfold. You remember your dying wish. You wanted to have a second chance at life, to prove that you could make something of it rather than letting each day pass you by. You decided long ago that regardless of when you die or how you die, you want to be able to say that you've lived a full life. You want to know that your actions have impacted others, impacted the world. And now you've just realized that your actions carry a lot more weight than you first thought. You know how the story goes. Well, not all of it, because you died before it came to an end. But you have knowledge in spades, and who's to say that you can't use that knowledge to create a permanent, positive shift? Chisaki is still gritting his teeth, staying far away from everyone else. Seeing him like this, knowing that he's just an orphan like you, makes it difficult to fear or resent him. He's frail and vulnerable, And even if he won't admit it, he needs to be protected just like any other kid would. You're going to live boldly and vibrantly, knowing that the choices you make can shape others' lives. You're done spending your days as a recluse and wasting away. You don't want things to end like they did in your last life, where even in death, nobody knew who you were or what you'd done. Here, your potential is limitless, and you'll be damned if you take it for granted. And so, you stand up, on shaky toddler legs, but you stand up nonetheless. Your steps are slow, deliberate, and even though it takes a while, you eventually stop in front of Chisaki. He glares at you. What do you want? You know exactly what you want, and it's to leave your mark on this world so that you'll never be forgotten. You want to be someone who can move and inspire others. You want to become the kind of person you can take pride in. You've been given a new chance at life, and it's in the world you're familiar with, of all things. This is the best deal you'll ever get. It takes you a while to form your words, so you return Chisaki's stare with one of your own. He's still so young, but he already resents the world. He feels like an outsider, like someone who doesn't belong. Because of that, he will eventually spin out of control. He will resort to drastic means to manipulate the world around him, to make it make sense. If left unchecked, he will certainly become a villain. But what if, all these years, he had someone by his side to steer him on the right path? What if he found solace some other way instead of twisting society in the palm of his hand? You don't know the answer to that question, but you think you'd like to find out. I'm here for you. Those words are the words you decide on, and despite how childish your 2-year-old voice sounds, there's a maturity to it that Chisaki can't seem to comprehend. He looks at you in bewilderment. What are you talking about? Nothing. I don't know. I just wanted to tell you that no matter what happens, it's going to be okay, because I'll be here to help. You grin widely, unintentionally revealing several missing teeth. Chisaki looks disgusted at first, and he even shrinks away, but against all odds, he still hasn't told you to get lost. The two of you just stare at each other in silence for a while. He must think you're a bit strange, especially for a 2-year-old. But you can't help but be mesmerized by the fact that he's actually in front of you right now. Eventually, his patience runs thin. Go away, he mutters, then outright shoos you. Dirty little kid, mind your own business. You don't take any offense at his words. You realize it'll take a while to get closer to him, and knowing what you do about his character, there's a lot of obstacles standing in your way. But it's fine. If maybe, just maybe, you can prevent him from becoming a villain. If your actions help someone in some way, you'll be happier than you can put into words. Okie dokie. You smile, then turn to leave, mindful of giving him space. You must have forgotten because mentally your brain is still your own, but your body has become that of a child. Needless to say, you fall over while trying to walk away. Ouch, you whine, rubbing at your tender toddler body. Everything hurts. Little kids are so goddamn fragile. You suppose you'll have to be more careful from now on. It takes a few seconds, but you manage to pick yourself up, smile proudly at the feet, and retreat back to your side of the room and carry on reading your book. The whole time, Chisaki stares at you, unblinking. He already thinks you're incredibly strange. It's a clumsy start, but it's a start nonetheless. That is the end of chapter 1. I hope we really all enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it for you guys. But yeah, this is quite a long video. Yeah, I hope we listened all the way through, because this is actually a really long video. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, like I said. And yeah, hope you all have a great day, night, whatever, blah 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 blah. And
yeah, see you all next chapter. Bye bye.